So, today, what I want to talk about is the game of being a business advisor. So, going live, it's like 20 past 8 in the morning. I'm very excited. This might be a bit of a long one, so do come back and watch the recording if you haven't got time to watch all of it now. But I want to talk to you about how the opportunity of being a business advisor is there. And I want to talk through kind of some of the mindset shifts that you're going to have to go through, and also what being a business advisor could look like for you. Now, this is predominantly for accountants and bookkeepers and CFOs, and it's there to enable you to work less hours, have a better life, earn more money, and really enjoy what you're doing rather than being in the compliance grind. So, what I'm going to do is be going through what the game actually looks like and how you can change your life and the way that you work. So, the first thing that we have to think about is that the game of being a business advisor is very much about you creating your life by design. So you can show up as a business advisor and have time to help your clients make an impact, create a lot of value for your clients. But conversely, what you can also do is you can enable yourself to actually spend more time with your family. You can take the kids to school at 9 o'clock and finish at 3 o'clock. You don't have to be stuck in the weeds doing all of the work. So I'm going to be sharing with you what that looks like as we move forward. So it's life by design, it's income by the value that you provide. So you get paid way more because you are actually providing way more value. And also it's impact because you're taking your wisdom, and your wisdom is your knowledge, your experience, your education, who you are as a person. So we take all of that and we turn that into a business advisory offering. So what it is it's about stepping out of doing the work for your clients and stepping into advising. Now, I was actually having a conversation yesterday with my father, tax technician, and we were talking about advisory, and we were talking about making tax digital, and we were talking about how for business owners it's really frustrating, and how for accountants MTD is really frustrating. And I was saying yes, but that's why advisory is even more important now, because making tax digital gives you the opportunity to speak to your clients at least once a quarter and have conversations around that, and you can build an advisory offering around it. And my sister, her husband runs a plumbing business, and we were talking to her as well, and she was saying how frustrated that she was that she has to do quarterly accounts now, and it was driving her nuts. So what the accountant needs to do is to actually move into advising a client and understanding that all of the emotions that your clients are feeling and all of the emotions that you're feeling is very much around the fact that you're being dictated to by HMRC, by the government. And what we want to do is take all of those feelings and turn it in a way to show up for your clients and bring more for your clients and help them and guide them so that they don't shoot the messenger. Because when you sit in the accounting and bookkeeping role, you're just a messenger for the HMRC, right? So you're just a messenger for them. So what we want to do is move into an advisory role so that you actually become their partner, and it's you and your accountant, you and your client who are working towards making them have a better life. And you may be answering to HMRC, but at the end of the day, it's the two of you in it together rather than you and HMRC saying that they have to do their quarterly accounts. For example, right? This is how you can move into advisory. So it's about freedom for you because you can work less, because you can charge more for that, by the way. Because when I was talking to my sister and she was like, oh, I've got to, submit things 4 times a year. And I was like, yeah, and your accountant should be charging you for that. That's not something that should be given away for free. And she was like, oh, why would my accountant charge me for that? And I was like, that's because they have to spend the time doing it and making sure that everything's right and supporting you. And it's educating. Your clients don't know that you're going to need to help them more, and they're not going to see that. So you need to educate. And that's where advisory comes in, because you can educate as you're doing your advisory. So for you, it's about freedom, it's about fulfillment, it's about financial independence. For your clients, it's about them understanding, it's about them having a more impactful relationship with you. It's about them partnering with you and seeing you as their partner rather than as someone who they want to shoot because you're just the messenger. Now, the world has changed, as I've been talking about, and AI, automation, and burnout, which I went through when I was actually running a business where I was doing the work for clients, is less valuable. But thinking and guiding people is more valuable than ever. So if we think about how we can go onto ChatGPT, ask it some questions, and it spits out some answers for us, that's not the same as having someone who we know, like, and trust, who knows our life, who knows our experiences, who knows our business, who knows the numbers. So we need to step into that role and become a guide and be that person who really helps clients rather than relying on them typing into ChatGPT, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? Right? So the game of being a business advisor is about life and business by design. It is about designing both your life and business around what matters to you and not what the industry expects. So the industry expects you to be an accountant, a bookkeeper, or a CFO, but actually the majority of you don't want to be stuck as the technician. You want to make a bigger impact. And when I speak to my ideal clients and they come onto my business advisory program, when I speak to them, I say, why do you want to be an advisor? And two things really, really show up. So two things show up when I ask that question. One is they're just like, oh, I just want my time back. I want to spend more time with my family. And the second one is always impact. I want to make a difference. And that is what being a business advisor is all about. So what we do is we install something called the 500, 200, 10 model, which is 500K in advisory. It is 200 take home after tax and 10 hours a week in client delivery. So that means that you have high revenue, you have very high profits because you're not doing the work for clients. Therefore, you price on the transformation that you give and you are advising your clients, but you're then not stuck having to, reconcile accounts and do all of the accounting and the bookkeeping work. You don't have to do that. So your profits are very high. It's you and maybe a VA running this 500K advisory revenue business and 10 hours a week in client delivery. Now, there is a caveat that I just want to share with transparency. To get 10 hours a week in client delivery, you have to get the clients, which means on top of that, you do need to be doing your marketing and your admin and, of course, your finances. But I won't teach you to suck eggs on that one. All right, this is 100% possible and it is 100% proven. I've worked with hundreds of accountants. I've worked with thousands of accountants and bookkeepers. Hundreds of them have implemented this model. Advisors across the UK, the US, and Australia are building freedom practices with 10 to 20 clients. There you go. 1 to 2 staff, and are completely in control of their lifestyle. I've had clients who were overworked, underpaid, and now pick their children up from school at 3:30 every single day. I've had other clients that have completely burnt their compliance business to the ground and decided just to go with an advisory business. Now, you don't have to do that. Absolutely, you don't have to do that. But what I would say is the moment you start offering advisory is the moment when you're like, oh, why am I working so hard for so little money in the compliance business when I can have such a fantastic business running the advisory arm? Now, you might offshore or outsource that. And do ask me if you're looking for offshoring or outsourcing people, because I have a couple of people that I refer people to. All right, so the other thing as well is when you create a traditional compliance business, you're creating what I call a monster business, which is hundreds of clients, 60-hour weeks, and guaranteed burnout. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. You have clients that suck the life out of you. We call them vampire clients. You have to have a bloated team because you've got too many clients and they need servicing and you can't do it on your own. I often see a lot of my people who come to me, so they're not clients yet, they're running a monster business, and what they're doing is paying themselves less than everybody else in the business because they don't have enough profit to pay themselves. They're taking home a couple of grand a month, whereas their team are taking home more than that. And that's heartbreaking. A freedom business is slightly different though, because a freedom business is 10 to 20 clients, it's strategic work, and it's time freedom, and of course the money. You get to take home the money. That's really, really key. All right. So there's a shift that you have to go through when you move into business advisory. First of all, you've got to stop doing the work. Now, you can keep your accounting and bookkeeping business on the side, but you have to stop doing the work for clients and treat this as a separate business entity model. It can't be a value add. It has to be a separate business so that you can run it well. Okay, you can't run it if you sell advisory as an add-on. It has to be a separate thing that you run really well with different rules and regulations in how you show up and what it is that you do. And what happens is when you stop doing the work for clients, you start empowering your clients to do the work for themselves. And this actually works in a really beautiful way. So what happens is you start showing up. Instead of being task orientated, you actually become all about the person in front of you. So when I work with my clients in the Business Advisor Academy, I know what their personal lives are like. I know them as people. I know why they are doing what they are doing. I know why they want to move into advisory. And that's why we have a cap on the number of people that we work with in the advisory as well, because it's not a numbers game, it's a people game. It's a transformation of their lives. And that's what advisory is. So if you start to run this people game instead of a numbers game, you start transforming your clients' lives. It's not about the spreadsheets where you're looking at the numbers and going, these are the numbers. You're looking at the person and going, let's relate those numbers to you as the person. It's about conversations. It's about changing their business life, but more importantly, their personal life. And I have seen many, many times people who offer advisory, they change people's lives as opposed to tick boxes and keep HMRC happy. It goes from you doing the work to guiding your clients as well. So we're using your brain, not your hands. And it is the most valuable tool in your business. And what happens is you totally switch off your brain when you're doing the compliance work because it's second nature. It's a little bit like when you drive your car, right? You'll get in the car, you'll go from A to B. Maybe it's the school run, maybe it's to go see your parents, maybe it's that you're going to Sainsbury's or something like that. And you get to Sainsbury's or you get to the school and you're like, how did I get here? And you do it without thinking. Now, this is the same as when you are a technician and you're doing the work for your clients, is you're doing without thinking. It's a muscle that you have used time and time again, and you just know how to do it. That means that you've forgotten that your brain is the most valuable thing, and you need to uncover what is inside that brain so that you can then share that with the world and see that that is the valuable thing. Because actually, if you don't do this, you're going to just die with the music inside you. It's going to be awful because all of your experience is so valuable and you are keeping it hidden, and you're every day you're showing up and you're driving your car and you're not uncovering the value that's inside of you. We also have to look at going from fixing clients to empowering clients to fix themselves. So you've heard the saying, I'm sure, of give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime, right? So give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Well, that's what you're doing when you step into the advisory role, because you're teaching the man to run a business. And what's really interesting, again, if I go back to the conversation I was having with my sister yesterday, she was saying that they're frustrated because they have to do quarterly accounts. And I'm saying you should get your accountant to help you. And they're saying, yes, but I should be able to do the accounts myself. And I turned around and I said, yeah, but actually, is that true? That's like me saying I should be able to do the plumbing myself. I have to hire a plumber in, so you should hire in an accountant. And there are so many small businesses out there, just like hers and her husband's, who do not understand the power of an accountant. They see you just as someone who is a cost. And these are people, like my sister has the same father I have, and I've seen how he's not just a cost, how he's transformed people's lives, and how I would not be where I am today without his advice. But you've got two people with the same father who have a different opinion about accountants, okay? So what we need to do is be educating small businesses that an accountant isn't there just to tick boxes. The accountant is there as the advisor. All right. So we have to stop rescuing our clients and start raising our clients up and showing them how to be empowered rather than having them frustrated, especially with everything that's going on here in the UK with the budgets. Every small business is scared. Every small business is scared. And I know that, and I've seen it on LinkedIn. I'm watching accountants. You guys are nervous as well about what is happening. You don't know what's going to happen, and you know that there is going to be a backlash. And this is why you need to step into the advisory role, because there are small businesses out there who are so scared, and they need you to be big and strong and empower them to rise up and show them why everything's going to be okay. If you keep just being the technician, you are doing them an injustice and you're doing yourself an injustice. Okay, so we have to go from transactional to transformational, which means that we've got to stop charging for hours and start charging for the outcomes, which means we need to be having better conversations so that we transform our clients' lives. We need to go from evaluating the past to supporting our businesses that we're working with to grow. So it's no more about, hey, let's look at this dashboard where everything has happened here. And it's like looking at the dashboard and then going, right, what is it that this dashboard tells us and what do we need to plan for the future? So you need to have better conversations around the numbers and not just look at the past, but look at how they will affect the future. Okay. It's about you going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And this is really key. This is about you and not about the client. Advisory is about believing that change is possible for you and for your clients. The majority of you say it can't be done, and that's not true at all, because my clients are proving that 100% can be done in a way that's very scalable. We call it leveraged advisory. So you need to believe that change is possible so that you can help your clients believe that change is possible, and they can grow as well, because they are going to have a fixed mindset and we need to move them into a growth mindset. And we can't help someone if we haven't helped ourselves first. Again, another saying for you: when you get onto an aeroplane and they go through all of the emergency ways of actually acting if there's anything that goes wrong, what they say is put your own mask on first before you help your children, so that you are conscious enough and you're able to help your children. Because if you put the mask on your children first, you're not able to help yourself. This is what being an advisor is all about. So you have to get really good at being a business advisor. You need to put your own mask on first. You need to work on your mindset. You need to work on your business, create something that's a really good business model. How can you advise a business owner around growing their business when you haven't invested yourself into learning how to grow your business? If you're sitting there and saying, do you know what, I'm just going to wing this, I'm going to say I'm a business advisor, I'm not going to get any support, I don't know how to run an advisory business, but I'll give it a go, then how can you expect your clients to pay you for something that you haven't paid to learn yourself? Okay, I have invested over, I think it must be now over £300,000 in coaching over the past 10-15 years. And what I would say around that is I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't invested in people who were further ahead of me. And you need to invest in learning how to run a successful business, how to work on your mindset, how to run your money, for example, how to run your personal money, all of those things you need to invest in, so you can then become really good at it, so you can then help your clients. You can't just wing advisory, because you're going to do more damage than good. Okay. You need to go from the technician to the advisor. So a technician works in the business, an advisor works on the business and gets paid more for it. So the game plan for being a business advisor is actually a game of courage and stepping into the role of being a business advisor. It's about identity, it's about impact, and those who play it win really big. I know, I've done it myself. I've done it with my clients. I look at the Q&A calls and the scale sessions that we have with our clients. We're always smiling. Nobody's stressed, because you're creating something that is a stress-free business, because it's high revenue, high take home, and very low costs, not a big team, and very low hours that you're working in. So those who play it win big, not just with money, but with the energy and the stress and the smiles and the happiness. That life is so less stressful when you run an advisory business as well as an accounting or bookkeeping business. How you win the game is you have to take all of your experience and your education, you have to take all of that, you have to package it all up, you have to position your voice. So what is your message that you're going to put out in the world? You have to price for the value that you provide to your clients, and you have to promote coming from a place of purpose and a reason why you do what you do. And you have to partner with your ideal with people that have the same audience as you, so people who have the same ideal clients as you. Partner with those people so that you can make a bigger impact and leverage your time. So your goal is 500k in revenue, in billings, 200k take home after tax. When I say take home, it's after tax. 10 hours a week in client delivery, and it's freedom on your terms. That's the game. So the things that make it work is you have to have the right offer, which we call the offer diamond. You have to have the right positioning, which is your signature methodology, and the right plan, which is freedom by design. Money and meaning. I want to talk a bit about that, because it's not actually about the money, and it's all about the money. So let me just share with you how this works. Money creates stability. So money for your clients creates stability. Money for you creates stability. Stability creates security, and security creates coming from a place of service. The reason I can show up, do this training, I can do all my free marketing is because I feel very secure, because I have the money. So money creates stability, stability creates security, and security creates a way of showing up and helping people. So people say, oh, money doesn't make you happier. Yeah, but it makes being miserable easier because you feel safe and secure, and therefore you can try new things, and then actually you find that you're more happy. All right. There's a ripple effect as well of wealth. So your wealth will allow you to create freedom. It will help you fund your dreams and enable you to give generously. So a lot of my the people who come to me say, oh, I don't need a lot of money. And then I say to them, well, are you part of a church? Do you want to help the church? What about your children? Do they need to go to university? How are they going to get onto the housing ladder? What's going to happen to them? And then you realize, actually, well, you personally might not be the kind of person that likes to wear Louboutin shoes and buy Hermes handbags, but actually there are still things that you need money for. And if you have wealth, it allows you to create freedom for you, fund dreams, not necessarily yours, maybe your family's, maybe people you want to help, and give really generously. So that's why it's so important. And if you have impact and income, it enables you to change people's lives. So the more value you bring, the more valuable you become, and the more valuable you become, the wealthier you are. Guaranteed 100%. The other thing that I really want to share is when you move into business advisory, it's about rediscovering yourself. So it's about going, who was I? Why did I start this in the first place? It's the reason you wanted to run your own accounting and bookkeeping business is 100% because you wanted to make an impact. Yet you've ended up not making an impact, but creating this monster business with too many clients, too many team, too many hours. So we're not reinventing who you are. We're rediscovering why you did this in the first place. And we're building something that sits in alignment with that. And what happens is you build your confidence as you go. So you don't need to be ready to be a business advisor. You just need to start, and then we train you how to do that and how to build the business advisor model, okay? You step into leadership, which is absolutely an amazing place to be because there are so many businesses around desperate for support and desperate for help. And you go from being a faceless business owner to a trusted authority. And that means that you start to affect other people's lives, your life, the economy, and you start to really make a difference in the world. And that ripple effect will go out and make a bigger difference around the world. You can build a tribe of people that know, like, and trust you, and not just a business that you feel drains the life out of you. Okay, you end up not being alone, you end up being part of a movement. So the Freedom Practice promise is less doing, more advising, more impact, and 100% more income. That's the game of being a business advisor. And if you want to play the 500, 200, 10 game, which is 500K revenue, 200 take home, 10 hours a week in delivery, and have freedom on your terms, then if you want to find out more about how we do that and how we support you, then click on the link above this video. It might be below the video. For more details, there's a video there that goes through how we help people and some of the people that we've helped, and you can book a call to find out about joining the Business Advisor Academy and doing the business advisory certification. So if you've got any questions, then feel free to reach out and message me on LinkedIn or message me on Facebook. The best place to message me is on LinkedIn. And if you would like to find out more, then do watch that video. It's a great video. You will have to settle down for 20 minutes or so to skip through it, but have a good watch of it. And if it feels like it resonates and is relevant to you, then feel free to book a call. All right. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining me today.